really want to hear from football fans about what they want to see from their manager. Do they like them being animated on the sidelines or quite quiet? I remember when Ollie was in charge of Man United, it wasn't happening.
And he just sat there.
And I would get football fans phone up the sports bar, and lots of them go, I want to see my manager, and stop screaming, shouting. And I don't personally know if it makes a difference, but as a footballer, does it unnerve you if you're on the field of play and your manager scream, Benny, or do you like it when they're quite calm?
You want them to be emotional at the right times. Now, you don't want a manager, and as Danny Murphy alluded to there, you talk about Klopp, Pep, even Arteta. If you watch him on the sideline, he does not stop going up and down, screaming and shouting, pointing and all that. And at times, it can not put a player off, but it can be frustrating. Like, if you're playing on that side and he's constantly in your ear, you're like, I know what I'm doing. This is the job you've asked me to do. I'm playing fullback. You've given me the instructions. I'm carrying out them instructions. Let me just play. But when you've got a manager that's constantly berating the player, not so much negatively, but just trying to talk him through the whole game. At times, as players, you're like, just calm down, relax. So at times, it can be a little bit of a burden. But then, if I'm a fan watching the team that are like, I want him to show passion. I want him to be up and down the sideline. So because sometimes certainly sometimes, if a manager does that sometimes, that might get the stadium going because the atmosphere might be a little bit low. When you see your manager jump up, and I'll give you an example. I don't really like, well, obviously you know about my history of Paul Lambert, don't quite like him. But I did a game before, Ipswich versus Norwich on Sky, and the atmosphere was okay, the game was quite tight, and he was managing Ipswich. Now, I remember he'd managed Norwich before, and it was almost like he got into an altercation with one of the Norwich coaches, and that just erupted the Ipswich Town fans, like watching the manager do that, kind of give them more belief. So I quite like it when the managers do it, but sometimes as a player, I'll be like, I'm not really sure about it. But as a fan, I think it shows passion, and I think that's what you want to see from managers. You don't want to see a manager sitting there, whether they're winning or losing, just calm. You want to see a little bit of emotion.
No.
It's almost like when people used to say, do you want your manager to wear a tracksuit or a suit?
They say that? People have that conversation?
Because tracksuit, you look at someone like Martin O'Neill, wore the tracksuit, was up and down the touchline. But sometimes it was people that wear, managers that wear suits.
Always tracksuit, wasn't he?
Managers that wear suits sometimes tend to just stand there and be quite calm, quite cool.
Yeah, like Wenger, he was quite cool.
Like, he used to lose it at something, but he never...
But all managers lose it at a certain time.
No, but Arteta, for 90 minutes, is up in that box. Yeah. Up and down, up and down.
Graham Potter's quite calm.
Quite calm.
Ancelotti, definitely calm.
Calm. But Klopp, Pep's like, Pep will up, down, he'll have a little rant, then he'll go back, he'll storm back to the bench, get back up again.
You know what also effect I think it has on the other team and the other team supporters, right? I don't know if it's because it's Liverpool or because it's Klopp, but when Liverpool score a goal and I see Klopp celebrate, it just goes through me.
You don't like it?
No, I hate it.
Oh, no, see, I like that. Because when they score and he turns around and he goes to the fans,
he gives it, oh, come on.
But then that lifts them again.
That's great for the fans, right? For Liverpool fans. And if that was my manager, I'd probably go, come on.
But if you're the opposition...
it grates me. I can't stand it.
I can understand that. But I get it. Because whenever he does it and he turns around, the Liverpool fans behind that bench, they go absolutely ballistic. But do you remember when Arsenal were playing Liverpool? I think it was last season, right? The game was quite tight. I think it might have been 0-0. And I'm sure someone will obviously correct me.
Yeah.
And Arteta and Klopp went at it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Liverpool players and the fans just went, whoa. Yeah. And that was, I think they scored a couple of minutes later. It took the whole atmosphere to another level. Yeah. So that was when it was used as a positive.
So I'm guessing, I'm guessing, I'm going to ask football fans to phone in, but do you think the majority of football fans want to see their manager animated?
Yeah, 100%.
Because they think it means more to the manager?
Well, it looks like certainly from face value that they're more invested in the performance, in the club.
Do you remember there was there was a penalty shootout at Spurs involved, I can't remember where, but the image is Jose just sat in the chair while the penalties are going on, and the rest of his backroom staff all up. Yeah,
but you can't get animated about that, because that is a time where you need to be at your calmest.
I know, well, okay.
For a penalty shootout, I remember Steve Bruce used to walk down the tunnel. He wouldn't watch them.
What?
He never watched penalties.
What, just a one-off in the middle of a game?
Middle of a game.
34th minute?
34th minute.
One of his teams, let's say West Brom.
I was at Sunderland with him.
Right,
got a penalty.
Yeah.
Off down the tunnel we went. Didn't watch it.
And how does he know if he scored? Just by the crowd's reaction?
By the roar, yeah.
Does that annoy you?
No.
Okay. Football managers, do you want them animated or quite quiet, and why?
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.